Good evening, all.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, yeah, Biju sir, Meera ma'am, Miss Rachana.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Biju sir, over to you. Let's introduce Rachana ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sure. A very good evening, everyone, and welcome to Extra Miles training platform. Extra Miles is an exclusive
Rachana
platform.
Bhargava is a passionate educator having work experience of 12 years in the field of education. Presently, she is as PGT Commerce and head of the Department of Social Science. She also has corporate experience of 3 years. She has the experience of conducting in-house workshops and educational webinars, such as BTG, Innovative Teaching Strategies, Happy Classrooms, Education Across the Globe, Future Leaders, Be Ready Future Teachers, Work-Life Balance, Designing MCQs, Dealing with Adolescent Behavior, and Sahodia seminars as well. Hearty welcome, Ms. Rachana Bhargava. The stage is yours. Please proceed.
Thank you so much, sir. Dear educators, a very good evening to everyone, and welcome to Extra Miles platform. You all are already aware that Extra Miles is an exclusive platform created by the founder of BTAG, Dr. Abdul Salam, for providing online and offline training. Having a pool of resource persons, Extra Mile is resourceful to provide on-site training on demand across India. Before we begin, I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Abdul Salam and Extra Mile Education and Training for giving me this wonderful opportunity. A hearty welcome to all the participants. It's really great to see so many of you here as a vital part of this webinar. And as we step further into the 21st century, the landscape of education continues to evolve at an unprecedented pace. Gone are the days when traditional lecture based teaching was the norm. Today, we are witnessing a transformative shift towards more dynamic, student centered learning environments. And yes, this shift is not just a trend, it is a necessity. Our world is changing rapidly, driven by technological advancements, globalization, and a greater understanding of how the students learn best. To prepare our students for the future, we must adapt our teaching methods and classroom environments to meet the new demands. Let's get started on creating an engaging and dynamic learning environments. But before we begin with today's sessions, let us keep few things in our mind. We encourage you to jot down your queries that you might have during the session through the meeting chat box. In order to have an interactive experience, you may clear your doubts by asking questions. I would request you to use the virtual hand raise button and wait for your name to be called out for asking your query. The participants will have the opportunity to receive certificate only after filling up the certificate and feedback form, the link for which will be shared at the end of the session. Kindly stay connected till the end of session. Please note that this session will be recorded and is being recorded, and it will be available for later viewing. Hope everyone has subscribed to Extra Mile channel to get the regular updates. Dear educators, let us welcome Dr. Abdul Salam. Dr. Salam is a CBSE resource person and master trainer. He is the founder and CEO of BTEC and Extra Mile Education and Training. He has worked as the assessor of National Accreditation Board for Education and Training, Government of India. Sir, it is indeed our pleasure to have you, your gracious presence, and I would request you to take over the proceedings of the evening.
Thank you, Rachana ma'am. Good evening, everybody. Respected Biju sir, resource person of the day, Miss Amira, and all the educators. Hearty welcome to Extra Mile Education and Training. Well, as you know, Extra Mile is discovering lots of talents in the education field and giving opportunities as resource persons and all. We are proud to introduce Amira Ansari ma'am as one of the resource persons of Extra Mile. She is having lots of teaching experience, especially in the field of computer. So hearty welcome, Amira Ansari. Thank you so much for offering this session. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Well, participants, the introduction has been given. We have been discussing in my last session also we saw that NEP has placed teachers in the center of the education system. Teacher is the leading role, the main character of the story, and the shift is from content-based education to competence-based education. So we have no other way than changing from traditional teaching to student-oriented teaching. And here we are going to introduce a couple of strategies where 21st century, skills of students can be enhanced through these strategies. Let's listen to the resource person today and take away these strategies so that we can implement and we can see that students are in the active learning mode. Thank you so much once again. Happy welcome and over to the moderator. Thank you, Rachna ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, sir, for the warm introduction and setting the stage for today's discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, amidst us, we also have Mr. Biju S. Pillai. Mr. Pillai is the co-founder of BTAG and has a vast experience in the field of education in many capacities, including being the principal of many reputed CBSE schools. Sir, we are honored to have your gracious presence amidst us. I request you to facilitate the gathering with your kind words.
Thank you, Archana
Please, sir.
ma'am. Most respected Director, Dr. Abdul Salam sir. Amira Ansari today is a resource person. As we told, it's a B-type product. And all other respected educators around the globe. Today's topic, as usual, it's a very important topic, 21st century classroom. So, as we have come across the traditional way of teaching, we cannot stick on that for a long time. And during the pandemic also, we have seen the new methodologies being adopted. So all that situations has entirely changed, and we are sticking on to the student-centered, where we have to give more importance to children to improve their LSRW and to bring out their potentialities. So it is high time to change our teaching way of methodologies. So awaiting to listen to Amira, her hard work, and let us see how she is performing. So all the very best, and I welcome all educators to this evening, wonderful evening. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, today we have a seasoned educator with over 10 years of experience in teaching over polytechnic engineering colleges. Currently, she is serving as the head of computer science and PGT at SVKM CBSE School, Dhule. She holds a master's in computer science engineering and a B.Ed qualification. She is also a certified QCI NABET assessor overseeing school accreditation process and have successfully coordinated accreditation efforts since 2019. Her dedication extends to fostering innovation, and it is evident by her involvement in patent applications for student-led projects related to microbit coating, one of which was selected for the National CBSE Skill Expo. She brings a wealth of experience in education administration and a commitment to advancing knowledge management in Indian schools, as demonstrated through her research publications in international journals and achievements as a school innovative ambassador. Ma'am, it is indeed our pleasure to have your gracious presence, and now the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A very good evening to one and all. So, dear educators, how's the Josh today? Are you all ready? Are you all ready to dive into the 21st century teaching?
Yeah, they're responding in the chat box.
Yeah, I think the Josh is quite high. So let us proceed. We all know that today, as teachers, we cannot stay and stick to the traditional teaching methods, and we really need to move on to the 21st century teaching strategies. And we have to create the students that would be able to dive into the future. That is they would be able to develop the 21st century skills. And this cannot be done by sticking onto the old and traditional methods, because these methods have become quite outdated now. So this would be the outline for the strategies that we would be having a discussion on. Before we dive into the session, I would like to ask you all, what aspect of NEP do you find most impactful for teaching? I would like you all to answer in the chat box, or you all can raise your hands. What aspect of NEP do you find most impactful for teaching? Would it be emphasis on critical thinking, integration of technology, focus on holistic development, flexibility in curriculum? So we are getting so many answers in the chat box. Yeah, Bindu ma'am has told about regarding FLN, Rubina ma'am regarding technology, Nitisha ma'am regarding activity-based learning, Kukreja ma'am related to creative work, Lakshmi ma'am again related to activity skills. Yeah, again, we are having answers like critical thinking, holistic development. So I think all of us, like being educators, we all have started climbing on the train of 21st century teaching strategies. But today there would be much more that would add on to your teaching skills. Together we would be learning it. So before we begin, have you ever wondered like why the students are not motivated in class? Or why do the students often show more enthusiasm for PE and sports lessons as compared to theory lessons? And do you think the students prefer informal learning experiences over formal classroom or education? Yeah, who would like to answer this question? You can raise your hands. The educators can raise their hands to answer the question.
They are answering in the chat box.
I would prefer rather
Yes.
than chat box, if they would speak, that would be more engaging.
Rachana ma'am,
Yes,
have
sir.
an eye on the chat box as well.
Yes, sir. I have got
Geeta ma'am has raised hand. Yes, Geeta ma'am.
just a minute.
Yes, ma'am. The students nowadays, they are very hyper. They want to be more engaged, and they prefer the activity based learning, and they like more on discussion and all the other things like that. They don't want to sit in one place and learn just like the whole old method, and they prefer more of activities and to move around to just have a conversation, debate, and all those things.
Yeah, exactly. So when we go to the class, we would have observed that if we are teaching in the boring traditional method, the students are not much interested. So don't you think as educators that if students are not interested, we also lose interest in teaching? So why don't we, yeah, so now it is very high time that we also engage in innovative teaching strategies, and we also try to gain interest of the student by knowing in which mode of teaching they are interested in. So that is what would be the part of 21st century skills. And one more question is, do you think students would prefer informal teaching rather than formal classroom teaching? Anyone would like to answer this?
Yes,
Rubina ma'am?
Rubina ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. They would be interested in informal teaching for certain subjects. Like for science, they prefer, actually seeing than just
Yeah.
reading theoretically. Practical learning is more important in certain subjects.
Yeah, exactly. Now let us conduct a quick survey. One question to everyone. Would blending formal learning with informal learning enhance student engagement and motivation? There's a QR code for the polling. You all can use the QR code, or I would also share the link in the chat box. We all can have a direct voting using the QR code if everyone are feasible with that. So the question is, would blending formal learning with informal learning enhance the student engagement and motivation? The educators, what would be your vote for this? Whether yes or no?
Ma'am, the link is already there in the chat box.
So we can see the live results. I guess everyone are saying yes. It's it's high time now that all of us need to blend formal learning with informal learning to train the students and so that they develop and foster 21st century skills. Yeah, 68 people have replied so far, 69. Oh, that's 72. So everyone totally agree to this, that it's high time that we all blend formal learning methods with informal learning methods. Yeah. So now let us see how we can do this. There are a few strategies that I would like to share with you. The first one is the crossover teaching. Teaching itself blends the formal learning with the informal learning settings. So it is a comprehensive understanding that bridges the formal and informal learning strategies. We all know that informal settings are mostly loved by the students, like learning at home, learning outdoors, a visit to a museum, after school club activities, or an activity that would be collaborated or related with real life issues. So now, if we engage the students in such type of activities along with the theory part, the students would be very happy and would perform much better. There are 5 principles of crossover teaching, that is interdisciplinary learning. Like now, we all know that we can combine we can integrate one subject with another subject, and we can also combine the subjects that will provide a broader understanding of the concept. For example, if we are teaching science, we can associate science with art, or we can associate science with craft, or we can associate science with project-based learning. Then the next one is the student-centered approach. So now, in old and traditional method, teacher was playing the main role. Like teacher was teaching whatever the knowledge was with teacher, that was imparted to the student, and it was like one to many teaching method. But now the teaching method has shifted to student centered approach. So teacher has to tailor the teaching methods that will be suited to individual student based on their strength and interest. Then the next one is the active learning. As we all have discussed that students nowadays have no interest in class-based learning or theory-based learning. They all want engaging and hands-on activities. Then the 4th principle is creativity and innovation. Students are so much more advanced and so creative that they have to invest their energy, and they have to make some activities or engage themselves in things that would bring out their creativity and innovation. And the next one is collaboration. Of course, students do not like to study alone sitting at one place. They love to do teamwork. So this is also a principle of crossover teaching. It promotes collaboration. Now let us take a very basic example is, suppose you are teaching cycling to the students. If we teach this in a theory session, will the students find it interesting? Yeah, I'm getting answers in the chat box. Everyone are saying no. No one would love. Like if we are teaching cycling in a theory manner, it would be so boring to the student. Then the second one, if we move on to the YouTube video, do you think YouTube video it would make the teacher a bit more? Yeah, it can make it a bit interesting. Then advancing much more further, if we give a practical demonstration and the teacher brings in a cycle and shows the parts of the cycle, and like this is the seat or this is the pedal, these are the tires, and all these concepts your teacher is explaining, somewhat excitement would be brought. And what about outdoor cycling? What do you think? If you take all the students outdoor and they have an hands-on experience, and they have the cycling experience itself, wow, that would be so superb, isn't it? Yeah, they would love it. Yeah, I'm getting so many answers in the chat box. Seema ma'am has told the best approach. That's interesting, Krishna. From Krishna sir, yeah. Mandeep ma'am has said great, yeah. So everyone agree to that, that students love outdoor activities. So how we can, what is crossover teaching is, first we teach the theory in the class and we mix it with the informal teaching, taking the students outdoor. And do you think, I want your inputs. That is the question for this day. What additional skill sets would the students develop if we take the students for outdoor cycling in this lesson? Apart from cycling, what would the students develop? Which skill sets would the students develop? You all can
We're
raise
getting
your
the answer
hands.
in the chat box, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you all can raise your hands. That would be much more good to discuss. Yeah, very super. I'm getting so many answers. Like Anjana ma'am has said physical development. Ramya ma'am has told confidence. Gayatri ma'am has told about, yeah, again, fine motor skills, confidence leveling. See, our objective was to teach cycling to the students, and we have just twisted it. We have blended it with informal, and see, the students are developing so many skill sets. Isn't it interesting, and isn't for teachers as well as the students? Yeah, again, I'm getting so many answers. Social skills, socializing, problem solving, super. Even like apart with, along with the whatever theory we are teaching, the students are also developing the life skills. Yeah. Amreen ma'am has told managing traffic. Priyanka ma'am has told confidence building. Superb. Geetika ma'am has told confidence, emotional and problem solving. Even the students would learn to socialize. And also the students would, yeah, students would also learn about the first aid, isn't it? Yeah, again, I'm getting so many answers. Again, repeat the, I think socialization. Yeah, problem solving. So this is what is, we are going to integrate informal learning with formal learning. Suppose a simple scenario is a teacher uses social media platform to extend the classroom discussions. You know, now all the students and everyone are having a craze of social media. It has become a fab even for the students, right from the tender age, like from grade 1 the students are developing a fab for social media. Even if we go beyond like grade 1, even the junior kg nursery students have that fab of making reels, of watching reels of Facebook, Instagram and socializing. And what if we blend the social media platforms to extend? Yeah. So how we can do is students can share articles, videos, and personal insights related to the lesson. Wouldn't the students be interested and take active participation in such type of activities? Anyone would like to answer? Yeah, we can. The students can write blogs. Yeah, Rubina ma'am. Yes.
Rubina, ma'am.
Ma'am, I'm an English teacher, so I have seen that when students get the opportunity to actually see their articles published, in some journal or some blog or somewhere, then they get more active, they find it more interesting. So short stories, if we can get them published,
Yeah,
something like this, that makes their involvement much better.
yeah, and even they develop so many skills along with your subject skills, right? Even we all might be aware that for if we are talking about the languages, there are many sites that also promote the book publishing for the students. They give some very good portals and very easy options in that, so that students can create their own books and they publish and send it. And even don't you think that this approach might even have some challenges along with promoting and enhancing the learning? Anyone would like to share what challenges would this type of approach have?
You can
So,
raise your
Amira
hand.
The
ma'am,
chat box, Gayatri ma'am has told that we are dealing with the techie generation, so teachers must be superb techies as well. Yeah, that's true. We all need to upgrade ourselves. As we are going to become the 21st century teachers, we all need to be techno savvy, I would say. Yeah, Misbah ma'am has told that confidence level would be enhanced. Discrimination. Okay, and yeah, techno savvy is very important. And what challenges might arise?
Misuse of technology, ma'am. I think that has to be taken care of.
Yeah, misuse of technology, that would be the biggest issue. But along with this, I think if we train the students how not to misuse it or how not to fall prey to such type of misuse.
Praveen ma'am has raised hand. Praveen ma'am, yes, please. You can unmute, ma'am.
Hello. Hello, ma'am.
Sorry,
It's
sir.
Praveen, sir.
Yes.
So basically, ma'am, I feel that the problems arises because of that. One is our system is totally belonging to like basically writing, right? We are just
Yeah.
focusing on examination. And when you are talking about this, to just deal with the formal and informal, basically integration, might be social media is one of the impacted very badly nowadays on each and every age group of children. So that is a, one of the important problem. And a second part about this, in the regular school or in continuously like, however, we are just learning from morning 8 to 3 o'clock, 8 to 2 o'clock. It's very difficult to implicate. But when you are talking about application, it will be more helpful for the basically student. So only I have concern that like we can rarely we can this take in the classroom instead of basically regular basis.
Okay, so that this would be a challenge. Yeah, students might get addicted to the mobile phones. Uh, that's what. But if I think if we would follow a proper approach and if we generate awareness in the students, the technology could be used in a better way. I think if we are going for technical and social media platforms for integration. But there are other methods also for integration. Like I would like to share a few examples of crossover teaching. Like we can integrate the science. If we are teaching theory in the class, we can take the students for a field trip to the museum where the students would visit the museum and they can link their observation to the classroom topics such as the ecosystem or the historical scientific discoveries. Even like if we are having the teaching the subject of history, we can correlate it and we can blend it with online forums. Like a history teacher can encourage the students to join the online forums or the social media groups which would focus on historical reenactments or discussions, or even they can engage themselves with enthusiasts and experts outside their classrooms. As for English, we have discussed the English. We can make the teacher can ask the students to write the blogs or again participate in online training. Now, I would like to, like all the educators over here, to rack your brains and quickly share few examples of crossover teaching with all of us.
Ma'am, Mr. Praveen has raised his hand. So,
Yeah, Praveen sir.
yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. So like one of the activity like I have done in my basically earlier school, that is a village trip. So like that I have done with the grade 9. So basically we went to village for one day. We stay there in the basically government school. And so student understand about how was the structure, how was the process of government school. Then we visit to the Gram Panchayat. That is one of the
Wow.
important part of civics.
Yeah.
So where we understand like how who is sarpanch, so what is the work of that particular body, how gram sabha happen, like all these interaction happen. And in that village basically there is a one small company also where
Okay.
we
Super.
understand the basically import export, like how they are just associated with basically again like how they are sending the goods and everything, how they are producing manufacturing, right, how they are advertising. And there is a in that village there is a one small village, basically river also, where we understand regarding the some basically related river bed, some basically basic concept of the river. And there is a one temple also where it was a very old ancient temple. So like people understand the about sculpture and minus basically whole structure of that particular monument. Along with that we went to the agriculture also to understand like what
Yeah.
type of soil is there, how people are taking crops. We just interacted with some basically what do we say, farmers, and then after that we have done a cleanliness drive in the village also. So all these
Wow.
thing elements, I
Yes.
can feel that it is related with the subject along with this crossover activity also.
See, if we think of crossover, one activity can be linked to so many other activities, and so much of development is there in the students. I think,
Ma'am, we have Satpreet ma'am also.
yeah, yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
please. You can unmute, ma'am. Satpreet ma'am, are you there?
Hello. Uh, Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. For this, we can have experiential learning, like whatever the activities we are planning, we can integrate to a theme. Like we can ask them as per pre-primary, I'm taking classes. So according to that, we can take them to, if we are introducing something about farms, and also we can take them to visit to farm. So this experiential learning is going to help them a lot when they'll explore.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, we can. That is also a superb idea.
Yes,
Ma'am, we
ma'am.
have Nitisha ma'am
Yeah,
also.
Nitisha, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Yes, I am a science teacher, and during handling the seventh class science, I gave the project which blended all the subjects along with each other. Like if I told them to visit a zoo and then along with the parents, and that was like a holiday homework. So the parents, along with the parents, they had gone to the zoo, and I had asked them to use the technology which they regularly use. Like I had asked them to download the app that is Google, you may say geotagging, and then the Google Earth and Google Lens as well. So whenever the picture is being taken by the student, the location of that picture and the location of that particular site was highlighting on the photograph. And then by the Google Lens, you can know about the plants. What you may say, the description of the plants and all. They came to know about the new technology as well. I used the technology which they were knowing, and I had asked them to explore in the academics. So because of that, they were very much interested to carry on the project, and then to count. Mathematics was added into that to count how many plants you have found, how many
Yes.
flora and fauna you have identified, or you may say you have found, and then total it, and then wherever you have gone, SST, to include the SST into that, I had asked them to write the climatic factor, and throughout all the, you may say, the SST parameters about that region, and then write down the names of each and every animal or a plant in Hindi, in Sanskrit, and as well as in English. So altogether, we have collectively integrated all the subjects to get a small project, and it was binded into a small file, and they have submitted. It was very good experience, and they loved it and they enjoyed it very much. So I
Wow.
got the yes, I got the throughout India, because like in summers they had been to Ladakh, they had been to north side, they had been to South Kerala. From each and every location, I've got the projects from all the 40 students. That is what. Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Wow,
very much.
incredible. Yeah, incredible that was. I think Kavya,
Right.
Yeah,
Kavya?
so ma'am, not only going out inside the school premises also, on Saturdays, we can have mega events where children can dress up as farmers. They can, set up their own vegetable market and money, how to sell vegetables, what is profit, and all these concepts can be taught within the school itself.
yeah, that's superb.
You can, yeah, one
Yeah,
corner can be converted as mall,
yes.
one can be converted as vegetable farm, and all these things can be done.
Yeah, like every time it is not feasible, we take the students out. So in the school also we can create such environments, and the students can enact over there as well. That would also be a great teaching. I think
Uh, Sir Praveen wants to say something. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. As just Kavya ma'am said that, I just want to just say one few small thing. I'm sorry, I'm just continuously raising the hand. But very interesting topic that we can arrange a food stall exhibition also, where
Yeah.
people can gather together and they understand economics term, and even we can associate it with that maths also, like profit, loss, and they can understand the skill of marketing as well as their understanding like how to form a basically small budget, how to invest money, and how to gain profit. And even basically we can integrate some values also like team building. Okay, in a team, like I have done this for 3 years, like food stall exhibition where people gather and they decide one food item and they're selling in the school itself, in the school premises. Yes,
Yeah.
and we can, yeah, we can learn maths also through this very interestingly. Yes.
And you know, even when we try to teach these concepts in theory class, the students won't find it interesting. And
Yes,
we
ma'am.
engage them in these activities, they will come and they will learn again and again. They'll ask how to do, what to do, whether we have done it correctly or not. It's so
Yeah, so
interesting.
the,
Even,
yeah,
yeah,
engagement will be more high
yeah.
in terms of, yes, that. Thank you.
Trupti ma'am has also raised hand, I think. Yes,
Hello, ma'am.
yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Good evening. I am from City Pride School, Pune. Uh, I I also wanted to share with you all that we had a business city event in our school where standard 6th to 10th children were involved, and they did purchasing of the material that put their stalls. Even the school helped them for the stalls and all. And they sold all their items, and from that they learned like how much profit they got, and they had to invest only 3,000 that school only provided them, but then they got the idea of profit and loss. The same way we do it for our little ones also, standard 2 and 3. We keep a shop activity where they bring their own toys, and we have specimen copies of notes. So they sell, they buy and sell the items. So this way
Super.
the activity
Yeah.
is conducted.
Super. Very nice. Incredible, that is. Now moving on to the next concept, that is data driven. Now when we teachers hear about the word data, it has become the buzzword in the education industry. Data, oh god. In olden days it used to be that schools talked only about children, and now teachers talk only about the test scores and about the data. And when through the aspect of the teacher, when we talk about data management, that is a new fear that has been unlocked. So much of data we need to manage. It is cycle test, class test, formative assessment, summative assessment, ASLs, project work, report work, again internal assessment, attendance, portfolio. So now the new concept has been derived, that is data driven instructions. So what we can do is we can simply do the collection of data. We can gather the information from class assessments and standardized tests or our class observation, student observation from the teacher, and we can create a database on the information that we have collected. Using that data, what we are going to do is we would be analyzing the data. Okay, first is we will separate what is essential and what is not essential. We will do the analysis of the data, and we will dive into the reasons that are behind these results. And based on these analysis, we would draw some teaching plans or some action plans and strategies. And then we are going to implement these strategies in the class. And after implementation, we would be comparing the results. So definitely we would be getting better results. We can then congratulate our students, and again we can repeat the same cycle. So for that, what we have to do is first we need to understand the data. How we can understand the data? We need to ask the right questions to ourselves. Like for example, what does the information reveal? Whatever data we have collected. For example, if we are collecting the data of the formative assessment, say, so what exactly is the information revealing? Like how much learning has been done, or how much teaching has been done, or how well the students have performed. Then next is this data reliable? Whatever data we are collecting, is it reliable? Then how many different forms of data have I collected? Have I recorded my results? So this would be helpful to promote the student achievement, and like student achievement from point A to point B. Definitely there would be an increase in the progress. Then the next is beyond the what. Like simply these days we are focusing only on what. Beyond that, we are having other questions like the understanding of why and how. Like why did the student score low? How can I improve my result? So we just need to understand more than just the what's. For example, like if you're talking about the exam scores, we need to understand like standardized tests only tell us about the knowledge level of the student. And then if you want to know about the details, we need to go beyond that. For example, if the majority of science class, imagine that majority of science class do not have the required knowledge to pass some standardized test. Then the what is very clear. Why? What? Because they lack the equivalent understanding of the subject. So first, as teachers or as educators, we need to be clear with our vision and our motive. Then again, finding why and how. We can ask more questions like, why did these students miss the key information which was taught in the class? Then is there some sort of distraction that can be minimized? These small questions, if we are asking, we can achieve a lot of improvement in the result. Then did the way the information was presented have an effect on their understanding? Like if I've conducted a lesson today and I have presented in some way, then was that presentation having a effect on their understanding? Then how can these students be retaught in such a way that the information sticks in their mind? If they clearly understand their other topics that were taught during the same semester, how did they learn those topics? Then how can you apply the same principles to reteach the information they have not learned? So these we need to formulate like what strategies will help us to develop the school's data culture. We need to formulate our strategies. Then again, after that, we need to set standards for the assessment. If we are focusing our data collection based on the assessment, we should have some proper standards. Like, for example, what information is vital for the students to learn? Then what will they need to know and understand in order to pass the important exams? Then what information would absolutely need to be retaught if the students have not mastered it? So such type of questions we need to ask ourselves, and then we should develop and we should go beyond that. Then the next part is collect only the data that you need. See, we as educators and teachers, we are already overloaded with data. So we should collect the data and maintain the data in a smart manner. So if the data gets overloaded, the part of the reason must be that data-driven instruction is daunting so much as there is so much data. So what we can do is we can go for data thinning. What is data thinning is we can implement some successful strategies and we can reduce the data and collect the data that is necessary instead of collecting all the data. Then we can set some goals that are visible for the students, like student involvement. When we are going for data driven analysis, our focus is on the students. So naturally the students are getting involved in it. So we have to share our results and we have to set the goals for the students as well. Then we are having the, if we are setting the visual goals, the students are getting more interested. Like we can put up some charts in the class, like clickers. If we are teaching some subject, at the end of the unit, the teachers can use some classroom response system like clickers, as we can see in the image, to get a very fast overview of how much the class understands the topic. In this fun and engaging way, even the students get engaged, and even the shy ones start answering because they also want their names to be prompted on the board. Then even we are having some technologies like edtech. That this is we can use edtech, which can display the learning progress for the school. Now this has gone in trend. In fact, 70% of the teachers they are going for data driven instruction, and edtech is helping a lot. It gives a very like precise result easily, which can the teachers can track. Like it is having what trends can you see in your school or the district. So we are having so many trends that are represented using this. Then after sharing our goals and after setting the goals for the students, what we can do is we can review the effects of reteaching. Like so far after the assessment, a class needed the reteaching of an essential topic. And then the assessment is revisited. Instead of just going through the information again and moving on, what we can do is we can revisit the assessment, and so that we know the students are really getting the sense of information. Then again, we can go for simpler one like the clicker test. Using the clicker test as mentioned is a great way. We can easily track and overview the class, understanding of the class over some topic. And immediate feedback also we can collect from the student, like it does not takes a lot of time, whether the reteaching had the desired effect or not. Then moving on to the next one, I would like to put on the question to all the educators over here. Are you a sage on the stage or guide on the side? I would like you all to raise your hands and take part in this answer. Are you a sage on the stage or guide on the side?
We are getting answers in the chat box, ma'am.
Geeta ma'am
Major-
has raised the hand. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. You.
We
Yes.
teachers are always a guide on the side, ma'am. The students
Yeah,
are
because
the students are the main heroes and heroines,
exactly.
and they take the side. We are here to only guide them to just, and they will take up the role.
Yeah, exactly. So now in traditional teaching method, the teachers were always sage on the stage. But now today in this 21st century generation, we are teachers are like facilitators. So we need to be on the side of the stage and we need to promote the student and we need to guide the student. So here arises the concept of the flipped classroom. A very common and very good approach this is. The students need to prepare and participate in the class activities. So before they come to the class, the teacher can send some homework sort of thing. Like in traditional method, what was happening is teacher was teaching some topic in the class and homework was given. Students were appearing, doing that homework and submitting it the next day. Now in flipped classroom, what is happening is teacher is giving an assignment like watch this video and come, read this book and come, or read this topic and come. And in the class, the teacher is going to give some activities to the students, some engaging activity. Student would brainstorm on that activity, would work on that activity, and then after the working on that activity, they would be checking their understanding and extending their learning. So when we are comparing both the strategies, that is sage on the stage and guide on the side, as related to the teaching approach, sage on the stage obviously is the teacher centered. Teacher is the primary source of knowledge, and we are talking about the guide, the student centered. The teacher is just facilitating and guiding the students. Again, the role of the teacher, when we are talking about the traditional method, teacher was the gatekeeper. Teacher used to decide that what knowledge should be imparted to the student. Teacher used to decide what the students would be able to do, what the students will not be able to do. But today we have learned that we cannot predict that what student can do and what cannot do. Students have unlimited abilities. All the students are not good in one thing. They are having different abilities. They are having different skills. So teachers cannot predict what student can do what and which student can do cannot do this or that. So facilitator helps the students to discover and construct their own knowledge. Again, regarding the content delivery, it was delivered by the teacher. But today what is happening is students should actively engage in the content and through projects and discussions. Again, when we talk about the learning process, in traditional method, focus was only on memorization and recalling of information. And when we are talking about today's flipped classroom, emphasis is on critical thinking, problem solving, application of knowledge. So all these are the 21st century skills that are getting developed in the students. And when we talk about the student role, in the traditional method, student was only the content consumer who receives the information passively, and that information which the teacher decides to give or convey. And but today what is happening, active participation, the student only takes the ownership of their learning and the process. So we are having the types of flipped classroom. The first one is the conventional flipped classroom. So this is the very basic model. What happens here is students are given access to the learning materials, for example, through video or through storybooks or through newspapers. This allows them to come to the class having some basic knowledge of the topic. And then in the classroom, the students spend their time discussing and sharing their knowledge with each other and expanding their learning and understanding. Then the next type is the group-based flipped classroom. In what happens in this is, again, the emphasis is given to the group activity. After the students come to the classroom, they are assigned some group activities. They have to work in the group and the exchange of knowledge takes place between them. Then the third type is debate focused flipped classroom. What happens here is, again, the students take the initial information at home. When they come to the class, they are engaged in a series of debates. So where they can debate with their peers. So what happens here again is the sharing of knowledge takes place and this strengthen their communication skills as well as their critical thinking, and again knowledge sharing is happening. Then the next type is the flipped teacher approach. What happens here is, again, the students are coming with the basic knowledge to the class, and here again the student plays the role of the teacher. Like student have to submit some learning materials, whatever they have learned in the form of materials, such as student would develop the video of their learning, what they have learned, to demonstrate their understanding, or the students can submit some project, or the student can submit some report, or the students can make some chart activity regarding their learning. Then the next type of learning, the very interesting learning, is the project-based learning. This helps the student to develop the skills by working on the project that would be solving the real world problems. Like for suppose in a science class, students would work on a project to design a water filtration system to provide clean drinking water. Through this topic, they can learn about water pollution, again the filtration technique, and the environmental science. So if we are going if we engage the students by giving them small projects, they can learn much better, and if even they are collaborating with their peers, again the knowledge sharing takes place. Then the next type of learning is the cooperative learning. Again, it is similar to collaborative learning, stronger together. So what happens here is teacher will make the group and together they can learn, and this will again have a positive impact on learning. Again, it is having many benefits, like if it improves the attention, the involvement, and the knowledge acquisition of the student. For example, say suppose in a maths class, the students are working to solve the problems on say fractions. So by discussing with each other, they learn very easily. You know, the students, if they are learning with their peers, the knowledge exchange happens at a greater extent. Because what happens is teacher is explaining to the student that is in a high level language. Okay, but if the one student is explaining to the other student, it will explain in the language of the student and they understand it easily. So that is the charm of cooperative learning. Again, what is happening is in cooperative learning, we can have some gaming apps. For example, we can give incorporating the game elements in the educational activities, that is gamification. Many gaming apps are available which motivate the students to retain their attention. Also, like though it might be having a drawback that students get addicted to technology, mobile phones and computers, but again a lot of learning happens over here. Even students can learn, have motivation, like they will earn points and badges for completing the quiz on different, like say historical events. And even there are some specifically designed games like Prodigy, that is a fun and adaptive math game. So it is like aligned with the curriculum, and it helps to easily quantify the learning of the student and the achievement. And also what happens is powerful reports are generated over here, and easy to read reports that what skill the students have developed. So this is the format of the report, like we can, it would be very useful to track what learning and what skill the students have developed in that game. Then again, the next type of learning we are having is the problem-based learning. So again, one more question I would like to pose to the educators over here. What are the ways in which we can reduce the plastic waste? What are the ways in which we can reduce the plastic waste? I would like you all to raise your hands and take part in the discussion. Yeah, Ramya ma'am has answered recycling. Anyone using craft work by reducing and reusing. Yeah, again, Jayalakshmi ma'am has told teaching them to make cloth bags. Again, making the dress for plastic. Yeah, very good. Again, Suchitra ma'am has told alternative products. Yeah, isn't it interesting? See, we are having one or two ideas, but when we are sharing this, we are getting so many ideas with other. So this is what happens in problem-based learning. We are going to we are going to share the problem with the students, and we are going to insist, and we are going to motivate them to think and to answer. So this is what is problem-based learning. Again, it is a cyclic learning process, asking the questions and acquiring the knowledge. Again, in the science class, same thing can happen. If we are posing a question, this same question in the science class is what are the ways we can reduce. Students are going to ask, and we are going to ask more questions beyond it, so that the students can explore the complex aspects of the problem as well. So this is what happens in problem-based learning. Then the next type of the next type of strategy that we can adapt is the design thinking. Actually, this is related to the industries, but now this has become very famous, and educators are adapting to it because the steps are quite easy and we all can formulate it for ourselves. The first step is empathize. What happens over here is we need to identify the individual student problems, and we are going to understand what challenges they are facing. Then in the second step, we are going to define the problem. Like exactly after understanding the problem, we are going to define, and we are going to, suppose we define the problem that students are finding the reading difficult. Suppose we have found out this problem. Then in the third step, what we can do is we can ideate. We can find out some solutions. We can have a brainstorming with our peer teachers. And we can find out some methods or some solutions like interactive ebooks or multimedia presentations. Then in the fourth step, that is a prototype. In prototype, what we would be doing is create a few interactive lessons, which would be incorporating some videos, quizzes, and games. Then in the next step, we are going to test the prototypes in the classroom. That is, we are going to implement the solution, whatever we have developed, and we will gather the feedback from the students, like how was the, how did they enjoy, whether what the method we have adapted, was it engaging, did the learning happen. And then even what we can do is, after taking such type of feedback, we are going to refine the approach. We are going to develop a new method, and what was lacking, we are going to overcome those lacking, whatever we are lacking, and then we can again refine our method, and again we are going to implement this. So this is called as the design thinking method. Now I would like to ask you, what can you see in the picture? Moving on to the next slide, I would like to tell me what you can see in this picture. Please raise your hands. Yes, Kavya ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
so ma'am, I believe that there are some group discussions that are happening, and instead of teacher teaching a particular concept or clearing the doubt, the children themselves are engaged and they help each other clear their doubts and come to a conclusion.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rubina ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Rubina ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we use this strategy a lot in English teaching. Like when we start with the topic, we first give a just as we start with a clue, and then the children predict what the topic would be. Then we start with MCQ short questions while we give the passage to them, and they guess, and that's how they read and they react at the same time. So that's
Yeah,
a very effective way of learning.
yeah, exactly. So, educators, I would like to say is, don't you think that students often imitate the teachers? I think Geeta ma'am wants to share
Geeta ma'am
something.
also. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Geeta ma'am, you can unmute.
Ma'am, we also give them chance of seminar where certain topics which they can handle, it is given to them and they take the class. And in one of the schools, also student to parent teaching was also has also taken place. Yes, the students were teaching the
Ma'am, your
parents.
voice is
Parents
very
were
low, Geeta,
actually
ma'am.
the students, and they took class for the parents. And really, it was good.
Ma'am, your voice was very low, Geeta, ma'am.
Satpreet ma'am has raised hand.
Yes, ma'am. Here we can see like the student, they are gradually taking on the role of the teacher and
Yeah.
leading the discussion
Superb,
and
yeah.
using the strategies to analyze and interpret the text or whatever the things are like we take in the class.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
and this is something like independent practice they are being doing and discussing and understanding the text, and also it is beneficial for them because in this it is an independent practice for the kids. So this will actually improve their comprehension and active engaging with the text and using this strategies like for deeper understanding, and it will
Yeah,
give them a better retention for the material or the topic, we can say.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you,
Praveen
ma'am.
sir.
Mr. Praveen. Miss, yes.
Hello. Yes, ma'am. So I always feel that student are equal partner in the classroom, and when they are just facilitate the session, it will be a more useful. Well, so when I look at this particular picture, I always believe that if suppose student are teaching to student, it will be more impactful.
Yeah.
Like teacher is always there to facilitate, but when they are like if suppose friend is teaching to us, that they are more keenly interested in that. Okay, I know that like teacher is teaching that they are interested, but when like some friend is like talking to them, that will be more helpful. And like this type of basically uh presentation by the student, even one student is teaching, so that I always use in my even SST class also. It's very helpful. So this I always feel that it's one of the like student share in the classroom basically. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
right. Nice.
Miss Amandi.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I would like to say that when we are adopting this kind of strategy, so it also encourages students to go through the this kind of a role play also, and they are showing their more interest in learning, so that they get this chance to be the leader in the class and teach or behave like a teacher in front of the class. And
Yeah.
it also enhances their confidence as well as their interest in learning.
Yeah, exactly. The favorite role play of the students is always the role play of a teacher. And
Yes,
if we give chance to one student, what happens is a competition arises. The students will already be prepared. Next class I will do, next class I will do. So this is what happens in reciprocal teaching. The student take turns acting as a teacher and they guide their groups understanding of a text, and it fosters the knowledge and deeper learning as well as engagement of the student. So what happens is predicting, like what are the teacher give the gist, like what are we going to, by either telling the title of the story or the title of the chapter or showing the picture. So students predict that what it would be about based on the title and illustrations. Then clarifying is, as they read the story, the student identify and clarify the difficult words, like the student teacher does clarification. Again, after reading a section, again the student teacher would be asking about the text to ensure that everyone is understanding. And in the end, the reading, the student teacher summarizes the story and the main points. So this is what happens in reciprocal teaching. Coming to the end of the session, I would like to pose the question, like so far we have learned about 9 strategies. Which one of the following strategies you like the most and why? I would like to share your experience regarding that. Which of the following strategies you like the most and why? I would like you all to raise your hands and answer it verbally.
Yes, please, you can raise your hands. Okay, we are getting the answer. Design thinking, cooperative learning in the chat box. Anyone who would like to say something? I would like to say something, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
I believe as being educator, we need to incorporate all the strategies in one or the other way, depending upon what type of things we are going to teach them. Right. So this, we have to incorporate all these things, and it will definitely make a very good choice for them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We are getting so many answers in the chat box, all the strategies, flip box.
Yes, we have Mr. Praveen. I think he wants to say something. Yes, sir, please.
So, ma'am, thank you first of all for giving opportunity. So, I really like the session first because, in like most of the session, like participant didn't get the chance to speak, and when you are when I saw all these activities, very important for the teacher to just inculcate in their session. But I always feel that problem solving activity, I always believe that because in that activity we'll get the student opinion very firmly, and they will give us very creative and innovative idea. I always believe that whenever, like, if suppose any problem, we just like tell to them, like they always having some different ideas. So so that is one of the important part, and like they have always having some solution. So I always feel that this idea is very important, like this particular problem solving basically skill, or I can say problem solving question or problem solving, even all these categories like project based, crossover, all these different activities, this particular skill we can inculcate. So thank you so much for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
Rubina ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I would agree to what ma'am has said already, that we, of course, need to inculcate all these strategies. But again, relating it to my subject, I'm sorry, I'm being biased towards my subject. But then I like to use a lot of flipped classroom. I already use reciprocal thinking in my class. Okay, because students want involvement today. They don't want to be the listeners. They want to be the participators. So using these two techniques, like where in a language we need comprehension skills. So if we already provide them with a topic like in a flipped classroom, then they would take the initiative to read on their own instead of sitting and after 5 minutes getting lost when the teacher is reading.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly.
So appreciate with all these strategies that you've shared with us, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Preeti ma'am.
Good evening, one and all. Thank you, ma'am, for this session. And what I would like to share is, as what Rubina ma'am just said, flipped classroom is also one of my favorites. And I would also like to, club another activity, which is that problem-based learning, where we do a flipped classroom, and then the teacher can facilitate by giving a problem to the. It's just like an add-on in the class, and you can really expect the unexpected answers from the students, because they've had the thorough information collection of all the information and what they've shared and learned in the session through flipped classroom. They end up sharing all those when it comes to the problem based learning. So that's how the case studies can be solved in the class. And I personally like flipped classroom, and along with the problems based learning. That's how I club my sessions. But very informative session. Thanks for this time, ma'am. Thank you. And thank you all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, we have Geeta ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you can unmute.
Ma'am, thank you for this wonderful session, ma'am. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving us so much information.
Geeta ma'am,
I
sorry
see
to
different
interrupt you.
thinking.
Geeta ma'am, your voice is little lower.
Ma'am, I am just speaking louder only.
Okay.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, then just move on with the next person. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, but the voice is really low. It's okay. We'll.
Maybe some.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, this is Varsha, and I liked the session. I liked all the tips that you gave for an effective teaching. But then the best one, which I like as a KG teacher, is reciprocal teaching, wherein that something it is already happening in my classroom. Like the children teach sometimes to their peers, especially I pair the late bloomers with the high achievers, so it's happening. And I have even received a few videos from my parents saying that my child is imitating you, ma'am, at home. She is as students, and like she takes a class, she teaches us correct pronunciation and stuff like that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Amandeep, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you can unmute.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say, sorry, I couldn't able to fill the form because I couldn't find that one in the chat box. It is unable for me, I said.
We'll check, ma'am. It's already there in the chat box.
But I am not able to see the whole chat even. It is not visible for me.
Sir, can you assist, ma'am?
I will, display it on the screen. When madam, you can close the screen. I will display it.
Yes.
Okay, and then any other queries?
Question
Thank
answer
you, ma'am.
sessions. Questions we can take questions.
Yes, sir. Yes. So, dear educators, if you have any queries, you have any doubts, please feel free to ask. You can raise your hand. In the meanwhile, Amira ma'am, I'll just ask one question which was there in the chat box. The query was that how can we create more interest in language learning?
For language learning, as per my knowledge, reciprocal teaching would be the best, because here what is happening is mostly in the language learning, they are having either stories or chapters. And when we follow reciprocal teaching, the students take part and they are eager to explain and they play the role of the teacher. So I would suggest teachers can go for language, if the language teachers can go for reciprocal teaching.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I hope your query is solved. Do we have any other questions? Yes, please. Please raise your hand so that we can proceed. Okay. So I think, Amira ma'am, you have already nailed it through your very interactive session. I think you have already explained the things so well. But still, if you have any queries, so I would request you to please raise your hands. Anyone, please?
I think it was, then and there when participants were interacting, it was very clear. That's why there is no questions. We can go winding up.
Yes, sure, sir. And very rightly said, sir, there and then when they were involved, it was already the very clear. And so many minds put when they are together, everyone was sharing so many activities. So that was really a good learning for everyone. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to extend our gratitude and appreciation to Ms. Amira Ansari for enlightening us with the boundless discourse. I'm sure we are better equipped to moving away from traditional lectures to more interactive, experiential, and inclusive ways of teaching. So, dear participants, I hope you have got the certificate link and you can fill the feedback form that has already been shared. I, Rachna Bhargav, along with Extra Mile Education and Training, would like to thank Dr. Abdul Salam for his unwavering support and guidance. Thank you, sir, for such a great opportunity. Above all, I would want to express my gratitude to each and every one of our amazing participants who have been the life of the webinar. Thank you all for your active participation and engagement in tonight's session on 21st Century Classrooms. I believe your enthusiasm and dedication to improving education is truly inspiring. So I would like to ask Salam sir to conclude the meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Rachna ma'am. Congratulations, Amira ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for this engaging session.
Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. It was a
Very
great
enthusiastic,
experience.
very energetic and enthusiastic session. Equally enthusiastic were the participants. So special appreciation to you for engaging the participants that is required. It's not, just explaining. When there is involvement, so it's an example of a student-centered classroom.
Yes,
When,
sir.
yeah.
Thank you so
So
much,
then
sir.
there is interaction, there is involvement. Today we could see involvement of participants and lots of ideas were being shared. Lots
Yes.
of ideas. So we are very proud of the teachers who have attended, educators who have attended with lots of ideas, and they are changing the scenario from traditional learning to student-centered or 21st century teaching. So we are very happy. We are very glad that lots of enthusiastic educators are there to change the scenario. And mostly, there may be a question raising in everybody's mind when we explain these strategies and all. Where is the time? Time management, won't it be a problem? So this has been addressed and is being addressed as well. That is the reason you could see NCERT is coming up with a rationalized syllabus and new textbooks with less content. So the idea is to shift from content-based to concept-based or student-centered or competence-based learning. So you will get more and more content reduced so that you can have ample space and time for engaging children in such a way. So thank you, Amira ma'am, once again. Equally
sir.
important is Rachana ma'am's, help in answering and helping the audience. And thank you so much, Rachana ma'am.
Thank you so
We
much,
have
sir.
to, yes, they like this session and they want more sessions. So we definitely are coming up with more sessions, especially design thinking is in pipeline. We have already done it, but there is a need of the hour, design thinking, because more innovations should happen at school level. Young minds should, engage themselves in innovation. So design thinking is one of the, best methods where problems could be solved at student level. So thank you so much once again, all participants, for your inputs, your insights, and your sharing. Keep connected and learn more with external education and training. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, Amira ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
everyone.
Amira ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Right.